Council. To begin, I'll call the meeting to order and call your attention to the Open Meetings Act posted here in the council chambers. If you now please join me in rising for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Granquist.
Here.
Lange.
Here.
Merrill.
Here.
Weebelhaus.
Here.
Murin.
Here.
Jackson.
Here.
Clausen.
Here.
File.
Here.
Okay, with that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion second. If no discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
Then entertain a motion for approval of the full agenda.
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
Motion and second. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
Okay, that takes us to item number 20 on our council agenda, special presentations. Tonight I have a proclamation for February 2019 as Joy of Reading Month. Whereas reading is a skill that only gets better with practice and is essential to a child's success in school, and there's more to reading than homework and class assignments, and there are an endless number of fun and interesting books out there waiting to be discovered, and older students can use their influence to encourage younger children to read more. And Norfolk's Joy Junior Optimist Octagon International members believe they can make a difference by encouraging their peers and younger students to read more books and thus improve their reading skills. And whereas the city of Norfolk values its young service leaders and their efforts to make a difference in our community by mentoring younger readers, now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Josh Moaning, Mayor of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2019 as Joy of Reading Month in the City of Norfolk and encourage all citizens to take due note of the observance. And I believe we have some folks here tonight to receive the proclamation if they'd like to come forward. Who wants to give the honors of making a speech about what you're doing? Who wants to do that? Can you talk a little bit about what you do? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
So, Joy of Reading is when we go to other schools and we read to first graders and kindergartners.
Elephant and Piggy books.
Okay. Say it again?
The Elephant and Piggy books.
How long have you guys been doing it?
I've been doing it several years now.
You guys have been doing it yourselves for a couple years? Your first
The
year?
first
Your
year.
first year? Very good. Thank you for doing that. It means a lot to our students. Let's get a picture, okay?
JJ, hold up the piece of paper. There.
Thank you guys. All right. That moves us to item 21 on the agenda. Public hearing for the mayor and city council sitting as a board of equalization to levy a special assessment for mowing charges, litter, and waste removal and weed control on the property located at 401 North 4th Street in the amount of $441.76. And also the public hearing item number 23, public hearing for the mayor and city council sitting as a board of equalization to levy and special assessment for mowing, weed control, litter, and tree removal on the property located at 203 North Pine Street in the amount of $1,725. I would look for now a motion to adjourn as mayor and council and convene as the board of equalization.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion and second. No discussion on that. Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
Okay, and for both of these items, Beth, could you give us some background, please?
Yes, these are, again, the process we use to get the city reimbursed, if you will, for doing the work on these properties. 401 North 4th Street is the old post office building. That is for mowing, litter, waste removal, and weed control. And the other one is a little bit larger. It's $1,725, and that actually included a lot of tree removal on the property at 203 North Pine Street, as well as mowing and weed control and litter removal as well. So this is the process we use to get the lien filed, and it goes against the property, so when it's sold, hopefully we get paid.
Okay, thank you, Beth. Any questions for Beth on the old post office property? Beth, can you give us an idea of what the running total is?
The total right now, there were 6 times that we have done this. City has actually performed the work. It's just under $3,000.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion? This is a public hearing, so anyone wishing to make comment can do so now. Okay. Hearing none, and if there's no further discussion, as the Board of Equalization, I will close the hearing and look for a motion to reconvene as mayor and council.
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
Okay, motion second. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
That takes us to item 22. I'd look for a motion to consider resolution number 2019-6, levying a special assessment for mowing charges, litter, and waste removal and weed control on the property located at 401 North 4th Street in the amount of $441.76.
Your Honor, I'd move for consideration of resolution 2019-6.
Second.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion on this as city council?
How long will we continue to do this on that property, on this specific property, actually? I mean, before, is there some other avenues down the road for us to collect
Well,
back?
at
Or
this,
other than just the lien is all we can really do?
at this point in time, that's what city code allows us to do. So
All right.
sidewalks are supposed to be cleared, and so when
It's
we
an ongoing-
send notification, the health inspector or the health director sends notification to them when they don't comply, then the city staff does it.
Do we ever get a reply from these folks? Do we know?
I have not.
Okay, thank you.
Do they send the checks?
No.
No.
That's why it's known as a lien.
Much non-responsive across the board, I think it's fair to say.
I think that's pretty much it.
But there is a process that's followed each and every time that is done. So, any other questions? Council? Hearing none, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Resolution 2019-6 is adopted.
Okay, item 24, I'd look for a motion to consider resolution number 2019-7, levying a special assessment for mowing charges, litter, and waste removal, weed control, and tree removal on the property located at 203 North Pine Street in the amount of $1,725.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for consideration of number 2019-7. Second that, Your Honor.
Okay, motion is second. Further discussion on this, council? And Beth, this is a first-time assessment on this particular property,
This
is
is
that
not,
correct?
no, this is not the first time. The other one was assessed and paid for by the property owner. This one has actually a reimbursement to Olson Tree Service because they did the tree removal work, but it was significant tree work in that area.
Now, the property owner, is this a residing property owner or a non-residing at this address?
Well, at one time, it was there the last time, so I'm not quite sure at this point.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further questions? None, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Resolution 2019-7 is adopted.
Okay. Items 25 and 27, I will open public hearings on both items since they are related. A public hearing at the request of Blackberry Development LLC to consider a zoning change from A, agricultural district to R1 single-family residential district on property generally located a quarter mile south from the intersection of North 25th Street and Eisenhower Avenue, and a public hearing at the request of Blackberry Development to consider a zoning change from A and R1 to R2, 1 and 2 family residential district on property generally located a quarter mile south from the intersection of North 25th Street and Eisenhower Avenue. And to kick off discussion on this, Val, please.
Yes, thank you. Beth, if you could bring it up on the screen. This might be helpful because in this area it is land that is already annexed in. It's kind of the southwest corner of North 25th Street and Eisenhower. There is already some R1 zoning, which is this blue, purple, maybe up there. The pink to the north is currently ag, and then you'll see some hatch marks along 25th Street. They're changing some of the R1 and the ag to R2 so they can do single-family attached duplexes. And then to the west, you'll see that some of their single-family lots for their future final plat have gone into the ag, so they need to change some of that ag to R1 so that they're ready to go with the final plat, hopefully here soon. The applicants are here and they can probably give you some more definite answers on that.
Okay, thank you, Val. Any questions on that, council? To Val? Any public comments? This is a public hearing, so this is the opportunity to comment if you so choose. Evening.
Thank you. Troy Johnston with JEO Consulting Group, here representing the developers, Blackberry Development. I've been working with them for some time now throughout the planning process. As was stated, the request here before you is for to promote the residential subdivision and development. We believe this is certainly consistent with the surroundings as well as the future land use map. Certainly be willing to answer any of questions that you may have. Would also like to request waiving the required three readings and acting tonight on final reading. So with that, I'll sit down. I've also got developer here too if you do have any other questions. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Could and we have heard and considered plans related to this project over the course of the last few months, but I think it might be helpful as a sake of public record for us to have a refresher on the overview of the project, phasing, number of units, and such.
I'm sorry.
Anyone who's prepared to answer that.
What we have scoped for the first phase in terms of the final plat as it stands now, and forgive me here, I'm going to have to do a quick count. I believe there's 20 single-family lots and 10 single-family attached, or basically 20 units, but 10 actual structures.
Okay. Projected timelines on development of these?
We're looking to follow up, like you say, fairly soon here with the final plat, and then be in a position, you know, come spring to move forward with infrastructure improvements.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any questions from the council? Okay, thank you. So public hearings, anyone wishing to make comment can do so now. Okay, seeing no one else, move to in discussion and planning commission reports, please, Beth.
The Norfolk Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 23, 2019, at the request of Blackberry Development, LLC, to consider a zoning change from A, agricultural, to R1 single family on property generally located 1/4 mile south of the intersection of North 25th and Eisenhower. The Planning Commission recommends approval of the request on a 7-0 vote. And then the next one. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on January 23, 2019, at the request of Blackberry Development, LLC, to consider zoning from A and R1 single family to R2 1 and 2 family residential on property 1/4 mile south of the intersection of North 25th and Eisenhower, and the Planning Commission recommends approval on the request with a 7-0 vote.
Thank you, Beth. With that, I will close the hearings and move to item number 26. I would look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5589, approving a zoning change from A to R1 on property generally located 1/4 mile south from the intersection of North 25th Street and Eisenhower Avenue.
I'd offer for consideration ordinance 5589.
Second that, Your Honor.
Okay, motion and second. Any discussion on this, council? Okay, again, a long-standing project, bringing needed new housing development to the community and compliant with future land use plans. So I think very much looking forward to get this going. If no further discussion or questions, short title, please, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5589 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass this ordinance on second and third reading.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules. If no further discussion, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5589 carries on second and third.
Okay, item 28, I would look for motion to consider ordinance number 5590, approving a zoning change from A and R1 to R2 on property generally located 1/4 mile south from the intersection of North 25th Street and Eisenhower Avenue.
Your Honor, I'd move consideration of ordinance number 5590 on
Second.
first reading.
Okay, motion second. Any further discussion, council? Hearing none, short title, please, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Madison County, Nebraska, amending the zoning district map of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and providing for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5590 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I offer we pass ordinance number 5590 on second and third.
Second that, Your Honor.
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend
Yes.
the rules.
Okay, motion to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance on second and third, and a second. If no discussion on that, council, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5590 carries on second and third.
Okay. Moving us to our regular agenda, item number 29. Look for a motion to consider ordinance number 5591, enacting Chapter 8, Article 4 of the City Code to establish a Fire Code Board of Appeals.
Your Honor, I'd move to enact ordinance number 5591.
Second that, Your Honor.
Okay, motion and second. And I think we hear from Danny on background on this, or Andy? Terry, okay. Evening, Terry.
Good evening. The International Fire Code, as we adopted it and as a whole, the 2012 edition, has a requirement in it that we do have a Fire Code Board of Appeals, which if I would interpret the code incorrectly and somebody wants to take us to task, at this point they don't have any way to do that. Establishing this Board of Appeals would allow that person to, with going through the proper procedure, to appeal a decision that was made by the fire code official in the city of Norfolk. So it's something we should have had a long time ago, but just never did get brought up, and so now it's time that we catch up.
And Terry, we know who you are, but for public record, can you
Terry Zwiebel, Fire Marshal for the city of Norfolk.
Any questions for Terry? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any discussion on this, council? Questions or comments? It's one of those things that we discovered that it's a necessary, needed addition to the process, and I think will help ensure that citizens get a fair process throughout. So, if no further discussion or questions, short title, please, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to enact Chapter 8, Article 5 of the City Code to establish a Fire Board of Appeals, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5591 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I would move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 5591 on second and third reading.
Second.
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules. Any further discussion? If none, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Ordinance 5591 carries on second and third.
Item 30, to entertain a motion to consider approval to award a contract to J.H. Hespy Company Incorporated of Norfolk, Nebraska for the Embrace Park Restrooms project for $169,200.
Your Honor, I would like to note that I will be abstaining and removing myself from the dais at this time.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for consideration. Second.
Okay, motion and second. And Steve, could you give us some background on this, please?
Yes, Mayor, council members, before you is the bid tab for the Embrace Park Restroom Project. This would be a 26 by 26 restroom facility. There'd be 3 stalls in each side of the restroom and dual sinks that will have heated water. There's air handling in there as well. It is not heated as constructed currently or as designed, but it has the ability to have electric heat added either in the individual restrooms or in the center chase, and that heat could be then circulated throughout the space. So the design is it's designed to kind of handle a little bit longer season for us. It's not necessarily intended to go 12 months out of the year, but we could certainly push that opening a couple months further into or sooner in the springtime, and keep that open a little bit more in the fall as well. We had $152,000 budgeted for the facility, so it did come in a little bit over our estimates. Bids range from $171,450 by J.H. Hespy, Highwest Christensen Construction at $229,000. We did meet with Hespy Construction and the architect to see if there was any low-hanging fruit that we could kind of cut out of the project or do some alternate construction. There is not. We are comfortable that this is the correct facility for that location. It's going to serve quite a population of individuals out there on either the splash pad water park area, the Embrace Park, and as well kind of that general athletic field usage. So I'd be able to answer any questions you would have about the bid or the facility.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions?
Steve, the difference between what you had budgeted and where the bid came in, and I certainly don't see anything wrong with the bid. I was just kind of curious, could you put your finger on what the difference was?
In the original concept, we were not anticipating that it would have to have the air handling, so that added a little bit of cost to it.
Okay.
The burnished block, if that's the right term, I don't think I'm using the right term there, but the exterior block wall came in a little bit higher as well. It used to be the Gearholds here used to manufacture that type of block. They do not do that anymore. So there's a little bit more expense there, but I would say primarily it's in the air handling. Some of the plumbing, water heating was not probably anticipated originally as well.
Okay. Sounds like it'll be a nice addition. Thank you.
How many bids did we receive altogether, Steve?
We received 3 bids.
The projection was 152, is that right?
Projection was 152. We've taken the balance out of park enhancement.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion, council? Okay. Hearing none, I'd ask for your vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative. Councilmember Lange abstaining. Motion carries.
Okay. Item 31, I would look for a motion to consider approval of an engineering services contract with Olson Incorporated for the Northeast Industrial Water Tower project for an amount not to exceed $75,650.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. And Steve, could you give us some background on this one as well, please?
This is sort of an extension of the Northeast Industrial Water Main project to serve the industrial areas up in the northeast segment of the community. That will ultimately be a separate pressure zone in the city. This is the tank that will provide that pressure up in that northeast area. This is going to be a pedosphere, which is basically that's the tall golf ball tee looking type water tower. It'll be about 200 feet tall, so it is a fairly high tower. Olson's was selected as the consultant on this. They're heavily involved in the water extension up in that area and working with Black and Veatch and the water modeling for that area as well. So $75,650 for the design of that tower. We would anticipate design complete this year, potentially bidding out somewhere around October, November for next spring construction.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Questions?
Steve, any antennas expected on that tower?
No.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now, Steve, have you got an idea where that's going to be located out there?
We are currently talking to Northeast Community College. We anticipate it would probably be around their windmill site. Dennis is kind of managing that conversation right now. I believe we've moved it north now about 1,000 feet, kind of to that next section that they have up in that northeast corner, be on the west side of Victory Road.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion?
Steve, I guess what is the main purpose of having this out there?
This is what will provide the pressure for that system. The system does not meet the fire flow needs for that area without this tower. And so we're functioning. We provided letters to the various businesses in that area. They have the same fire flow that they've had once that new water extension goes in, but that does not meet code requirements.
Thank you.
Be fair to characterize this as a necessary part of the heavy lift involved in accommodating that area with water service.
Correct. As a function of encouraging businesses to come come to that area. Certainly having fire flow is important, part of their business and insurance processes, so it's a necessary function for that area of the community.
Any other discussion?
Anticipated time of construction?
I would anticipate construction about this time next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Other questions, council? If none, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative.
Item 32, entertain a motion to consider ordinance number 5592, creating paving district number 517, which provides for paving of 40th Street from Highway 275 to approximately 952 feet south.
I'd offer for consideration ordinance number 5592.
Second. Motion and second. And Steve, could you give us some background on this, please?
The Fountain Point development was required to put in 40th Street and connect that to Highway 275 as a part of their project. And looking at that project, that intersection off of 275 will serve both the Fountain Point area as well as the property that is currently ag property to the west. Typically, it's, you know, we'll put these intersections kind of right on the center line of the property line, and that will be shared between those property owners. This needed to be oriented so that it was directly across from the intersection to the north. So the intersection itself sits a little bit, actually it sits all to the east side of the property line. So recognizing that this intersection does serve both of those properties, we've created this connection district then that would allow us to assess both of those properties as well. The developer at Fountain Point is taking a majority of the cost, about 2/3 of the cost would go to Fountain Point, and about 1/3 then would be assessed to the property to the west.
Okay. Further infrastructure development. Any questions or comments, council? Okay. If none, short title, please, Beth.
An ordinance creating paving district number 517 in the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, ordering the construction of street improvements therein, and ordering the publication of the ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5592 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I move that we suspend the rules and pass this ordinance on second and third reading.
Second. Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules. No further discussion. Please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5592 carries on second and third.
Last but not least, item number 33 would entertain a motion to consider ordinance number 5593, amending section 2-5 of the code fee schedule to include an application fee for appeal of a decision of the fire code official.
Your Honor, I move consideration of ordinance number 5593 on first reading.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. And Danny, can you give us some background on this, please?
So the ordinance that was passed already, ordinance 5591, this would allow for, let me find it here. So any person that would be affected by a decision of the fire code official under that ordinance would be allowed to appeal to the Board of Appeals that we have created here tonight. And that goes along with that, there would be a $500 fee, and that fee would be returned to the applicant in the event that the Board of Appeals finds in favor of the applicant. So this is the same, I believe the rationale here was that this is the same fee that is used for an appeal to the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and it's the same thing that if the board finds in favor of the applicant, then that money is refunded.
So the fee is consistent with already established boards of appeal within the city?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, council? Okay. No further discussion. Short title, please, Beth.
An ordinance of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska to amend Section 2-5 of the official city code to include an application fee for appeal of a decision of the fire code official, to provide when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and to provide for publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Okay, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5593 carries on first reading.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance number 5593 on second and third.
Second?
Okay, motion and second to suspend the rules and approve on second, third readings. If no discussion on this, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, ordinance 5593 carries on second and third.
Okay, and that concludes this meeting of the Norfolk City Council. Good evening.